Greetings and welcome to this week's aBlogtoWatch Weekly. There are three of us this week rather than two. We are sans David. I'm not quite sure what it is he's doing, but he's doing something. I hope it's something useful. But we did, myself and David, the pair of us last week, found the most important question in world history that no one has ever considered. And looking at Ripley and Ariel, they obviously didn't listen to last week's show, so I have no idea what I'm about to ask them, because there was some dispute as to whether this was a regional difference or whether everybody says it this way. So you'll recall that a certain Benny formerly of AP has released a brand which is called News, which is spelled, let me get this right. In fact, I'll find it. I'm sure I've got an image of it. Somewhere.
Yeah, with the letters and numbers and trying to sound like a teenage girl or something.
In fact, we made this last week. So that's the aBlogtoWatch weekly version of the News logo.
I like that.
Yeah, I thought it was all right. I thought it was better than what they came up with. How on earth do you even N3W5, is it .com? I think that's because he needed the .com. So
it wasn't like the cardinal directions, like north, east, southwest.
Yes, except this is the important question. Yeah. Ripley's already thinking about it. I think Ripley is there ahead of us. They have moved the share button on Riverside. He is thinking about how do people say the cardinal points of the compass, because I say it north, south, east, west. And I think everybody in the world says it north, south, east, west. But apparently...
You mean like the order of the...
Yes, the order. If you were going to say, Ariel, tell me the points of the compass, you go north, south, east, west. Or
but then I won't be able to go to someone and say, oh, but it's also news, sort of.
Well, no one says north, east, west, south. It could be north, south, east, west, north, east, north, east,
yeah, so
west.
It turns out that David says it north, east, south, west. Can kind of understand you going clockwise.
Yeah, never eat soggy waffles. That's the.
I'm so disappointed I didn't listen to you and David talk about this for 20 minutes.
But we've been getting feedback as to whether anybody on the planet, it might be maybe in Japan, maybe like south of the equator, where clearly the compass is the other way around.
You are making Francois so happy that you're talking about his news.
No, I'm not, because he's an idiot. And this is a stupid idea.
You know, when people are trying to come up with brand names and they come up with like 50 different names and they contact their lawyer and they say, which one of these aren't taken? And that might happen a few different times. And I wonder just how many times that happened before we settled on N3W5.
Oh no,
he could have just called it hype. Would you prefer that? Just hype?
Yeah, but can we spell it like
PH7
Batman
P3.
Symbol? Yeah.
You could find some fun way of writing hype. That's true.
It deserves a guy from D-Trice Media Alert. That's why we're wearing the Media Alert today. But there's more Media Alerts because, quite frankly, Benny from News dropped his watch, and then Swatch said, hold my beer last week. But we'll come on to that shortly.
Well, hold on. Did Ben Amias actually announce anything other than he's going to do something? He's had multiple announcements that he's going to have a future announcement.
He announced that he's going to produce a watch. He announced a load of people he's going to produce it with, and he said it would be around about $20,000, and it'd be towards the end of this year or beginning of next year.
Do we want to reward that type of lack of news from news?
From news. Well, no, but the thing is, the prediction market is now suggesting how quickly will whatever he produces win a GPHG award.
How much will it look like a Code 1159?
Exactly. It'll look like a cross with a Code 1159 and the day Bethune you could have won
and a
had
compass.
you been allowed to buy the compass. It's got to have a compass on it. It's already looking like a Bremen.
I want a compass-themed luxury brand. And I think the sexiest thing they could do is not make a watch at all, just make a very expensive wearable compass.
A wearable compass. You heard it
just
here first.
A $20,000 compass.
Like a I don't know how to do it. Like if Resonance made a compass or something.
Do you mean like a little length of twine or leatherette and something hanging on the end of it?
Gold chain.
Not a
something AP may just have done.
Gold chain.
we have a Quartz movement, which is like a very effective way of telling the time. But there's all these people who say, no, screw that simple way. I want to be a lot more retro and complicated, or maybe modern or whatever. Let him reinvent the compass. It's totally analog, mechanical, but about as complicated as can be. What's the tourbillon of compasses? What's the minute repeater of compi?
What's the plural of compass? There's our question for this week.
Compass I don't know.
If you've got more than one plural.
This industry loves the symbol of the compass. Okay, just start making compasses.
It's compasses. The hiker packed 2 compasses. Or interesting fact, if it's a directional finding tool, it is you packed 2 compasses. If it's a drafting tool, it's a pair of compasses. There you go. Don't know what happens if you got 3 of them. You probably got too much plastic in your pocket. But there we go. I mean, maybe that was the thing. It was actually the drafting tool that you wanted to, go and not the cardinal line, because you would use a drafting tool to design a watch, unlike a compass. It's just weird.
So did you and David walk away with positive or negative feelings about the news of news?
What do you think? What's your best guess?
I think you're buying shares in what is it? The Good Intentions Company or whatever?
The Honourable Merchants Company.
There we go.
Which sounds like something out of a Terry Pratchett novel.
The Friendly
Run by
Thieves
dwarfs.
Company.
Yes, we will rob you boys.
The Jolly Executioner Corporation.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't have enough money where buying shares as a financial tool would be helpful. So I am curious to see the watch, though. And I'm very curious to see what types of activations, how many leather jackets are part of it to have this launch. He set a pretty high bar with what he likes to do when he's untethered. And so I'm really, really excited to see how this is going to be presented if and when something finally actually is presented.
Can I burst everyone's bubble for a minute? I'm sorry. Francois and others like him are at their best when spending other people's money. Now it's his money.
I'm at my best when I'm spending other people's money.
Okay. Let's look at Jean-Claude Biver. When it was Hublot or LVMH's money, man, did he go wild. Have you seen a single marketing activation from the Biver watch company?
I think
from the man who's the industry's marketing genius, you haven't heard from them.
No marketing whatsoever.
He needs to invite us all to his place, have a giant cheese sampling, and I think that would be the most Biver thing Biver could do, and we could just have the watches as a backdrop for it.
Possibly.
Have we named a better idea that they've put forward yet?
I just think we should talk about news once we're officially disappointed by it. Why create so much buildup?
Why? Indeed. I would just like to say there is one thing that is funny this week. And as soon as I heard this article last night, I instantly thought of how disappointed Benny will be about not having the world's most famous leather jacket, because somebody, I don't know if you saw this, somebody paid $1 million for CEO Jensen Huang's leather jacket, the NVIDIA CEO. So he is now the owner. He's Mr. Black T-shirt leather jacket, whereas obviously
who makes his black jacket? Is it like a special popular brand, or is it a?
I think it's just because it's been worn by him, and everybody's mad, and it was an auction, and people have money to move around for various reasons.
I was buying a leather jacket for $1 million is only
walking through customs
slightly as questionable as giving $1 million to a company that's spelled N3W5.
I bought so many leather jackets for so much less than $1 million. Am I like a really good consumer or something?
That's right. Maybe you're sitting on a fortune and you don't know.
What kind of leather is that leather made out of? What animal is? What did they go Panaristi? Is it something exotic? Narwhal,
usually cows,
unicorn, alien.
You're making me feel so bad about my standard cowhide.
It was a Tom Ford leather jacket. So
okay.
I don't know what that
was
means.
It made out of Tom Ford? I still am not sure how you get to $1 million.
Tom Ford is now minus a leg because it's been skinned for a leather jacket. I assume Tom Ford's a real person. I assume there is a Tom Ford.
There is a Tom Ford, yes.
There is a Tom Ford, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Well done to him. A $10,000 jacket has been turned into $1 million. Sotheby's ability to move money around the planet without customs investigating. Right. Shall we talk about let's talk about some watches and some events before we talk about Swatch or whatever we're going to call this particular fiasco that they're undertaking.
Yeah, we were in a bunch of events and stuff.
Yeah, so let's talk about the RZE Gear Swap. Explain to me what this was. Here we go. Talk to me about RZE, first of all.
You bring gear, and then other people bring gear, and all of a sudden people are like, oh, I want your gear. And you're like, oh, what kind of gear do you have?
This is bartering.
It's a trading thing, yes. It was not, well, there was watches there, sure. But it's EDC, bags and knives, a whole lot of knives. People are buying an awful lot of knives. I'm worried about all these knives because, like a watch, you can wear it, you can tell the time. These blades are all pristine. No one's cutting anyone's throats. Okay, no one's defending themselves against any wild animals. These poor knife collectors have so little to do. A box once in a while, maybe some fruit. Maybe they'll go out a plant or something like that. But truly,
that's the point of the gear swap. All the knives weren't the ones you use. You keep the ones you use. There was bring the gear you don't use. The stuff that it's too good to throw away. You'd happily give it to a friend or someone who would want it and get some use out of it. But now you can just swap it with other people at one of these events. So it was cool. I had a bunch of stuff I didn't need, from watch brand swag to old electronic equipment, knives as well. Yes, I did bring a couple. And I left with a different knife. So
this is what I don't get. How do you arrive with one knife and go with another knife and not go, I've just got a knife?
So the two that I got rid of was a trainer butterfly knife, one without a blade. So
illegal in the UK. Yeah,
the trainers aren't illegal. Surely they're not. That's not a knife.
Butterfly knives, I think, are illegal in the UK.
This is less dangerous than a spatula. There's no way. There's
I don't know. I've been chased around some kitchens with some spatulas in my time.
Unless you drop it on your foot, you're not hurting yourself with this thing. So got rid of that. Don't need that. And I got rid of a comically large Rambo-style hunting knife. Yeah. And I took home a nice small Spyderco Salt. So it's smaller, takes up less room.
And so when the Rambo knife is used in a commission of crime and it's got your fingerprints all over it, did you wipe the knife down before you traded it? Did the guy who you traded to pick it up and immediately drop it into a plastic bag so it still had your fingerprints on it? That would be my concern.
No, he's only going to be in the country for like another week or so. So I'm sure.
Right. Okay. Good to know. So Ariel, did you swap anything?
Yeah, I got a backpack in return. It was really nice.
For what?
Some like watch brand swag. That's what I was told to bring for me.
So basically the two of you brought free stuff that you've been giving away for free and swapped it for stuff that folk had bought.
No, some of the stuff I swapped, they got for free as well.
Oh, okay.
No,
I also got rid of a huge paintball gun. I didn't bring it to the event, but I'm going to drop it off at the gentleman's house. He lives near me.
Ooh. I like that. I swapped stuff I earned through my media work for someone who they earned through different kind of media work.
Okay, different. Is that OnlyFans or something?
Well, he had an interesting camera. Ripley remembers his camera.
It was very long, very goes both directions.
Goes in both directions. What? Right. Okay. So why was this RZE's? What was the concept? Why did they feel like this was a good move? They just fancied it. The guy's got lots of knives he wanted to swap.
Because the brand and the person running Huey is a social person.
Okay.
And for him, the best thing is a bunch of people that like the same kind of topic getting together. And he doesn't even necessarily care what happens. But for him, it's sort of the love of the hangout. And that's what a lot of this stuff is. The day before we were at the Intersect Watch Show, the Los Angeles version, which happens each year in Long Beach in July, which again, it's a wonderful hangout. Yes, people go there and buy watches, but that's a big part of this. And again, what's interesting is that 5 years ago, definitely 10 years ago, all these hangouts were created by brands, big brands. Now it's the individual enthusiasts and the smaller brands that are going ahead and creating this. And that's what's interesting to me. It's that the community, out of the desire to want to have these get-togethers, is filling in where larger brands and retailers would have at least historically funded a lot of this. And I'm not saying that brands and retailers aren't doing events, but it's not at the degree that it used to be. And on the West Coast, it's definitely quiet compared to maybe a city like New York.
Cool. And so going to happen again? Successful enough to do twice?
This is the second one they've actually done. The first one was in Vancouver around kind of, surrounding the Vancouver timepiece show. And it's something they're going to keep doing. Part of RZE's ethos is that gear should be used. Watches aren't things to sequester in some safe and fondle every now and then. They should be used. And if you don't use them, you don't need to own them. And that's part of why they've got the Re-Verified program, where they will literally buy back the unwanted watches out in the public and, refurbish them, sell them to the public. And it's part of that whole concept of let the good gear be used or put it in the hands of someone that will. And that they make watches, they make a few other items, but this is just a lot of people who like watches, have a lot of parallel or dovetailing interests. And this is a way to sort of cultivate a community, connect with people, and just subtly remind people to use your stuff or, pass it forward unless it totally brings joy to your life.
Cool. And then you guys were at an event. While I go and close a door, which is making a lot of noise, you can tell the good audience what it was you were at and what it was you were doing.
Which event? Okay, it started in RZE.
I was not Intersect.
Well, we went on so many events. We had 3 events in a row.
Tell me about the other events then.
And RZE was part of all of them.
All right, well, go for it then. Give us 2 minutes. Fire away.
Well, we had the Vancouver experience giveaway. Last year, the experience giveaway was sponsored by RZE. It included the Resolute 36 watch and a weekend in Vancouver. So Ariel and I were up there to meet with Huey from RZE and the winner, Steven, to go hang out and enjoy Vancouver things. From there, shortly thereafter, we had to go back to LA because Intersect was kicking off on the 17th. And so we, from Vancouver, basically had a one-day turnaround in LA, then off to Long Beach for Intersect, where RZE was also presenting. And then the following day on Sunday, it was over to Venice, to the Peak Design store to attend the RZE Gear Swap. So it's been like a week and a half or 2 weeks of just RZE, and I've had a good time with it, but it's been all very, very different, from hiking in Vancouver to attending a watch show in Long Beach to hanging out at a camera and gear store, trading knives for EDC containers. Question,
Ripley, what is I guess you could say the durability, the aesthetic durability? Like, are you still into the black, yellow, and white colors? I've always imagined that black and yellow is a great color scheme, but you've been looking at the black, yellow, and white colors for, I don't know, upwards of 20 days now. How is your mental fatigue, or are you still enjoying it?
I like it. So if you're going to choose a pop of bright color, like a high vis one, you kind of only have 3 options: red, orange, or yellow. Greens and blues might not be vibrant or bright enough to really be that pop. So if we're going for something high vis, orange and red are both very bright and aggressive. I like them, but I think yellow is a bit underserved in that territory, but it's objectively a nice color. I think black goes with everything. Black and yellow looks good together. And if you're going to add a third color, why not be white? So I've been happy to be clad in various black and yellow things. Mm-hmm. Even wore some yellow lens sunglasses during the week in Vancouver.
Very good. I was asking the group chat, for reasons which I've not yet revealed, which I will do at some stage, about what are the most classically associated colours in the watch world. And somebody had suggested that Breitling yellow is a thing. Whose yellow is the most famous yellow in watches? Is it Breitling? Somebody else? Breitling. Yeah. Breitling yellow is a thing. That's good, because I need a yellow. I need to be able to tie it to a watch.
I don't know
brand.
That I think of Doxa a lot.
Well, actually, Doxa, I thought orange, because I need an orange, so I'm thinking Doxa orange, Breitling yellow. I think you just need to give Breitling some love, and I can't give Doxa 2 of the things that I'm doing, so it can be Breitling yellow and Doxa orange. What other classic colours are there? I mean, I've got Tiffany blue.
Rolex is green.
Yeah.
Tudor seems to really be down with red, although so does Omega and Cartier.
Well, I thought Cartier red, I think, is the red to go for. Omega, what is Omega's color? Is Seamaster blue?
No, it's red. It's red. All their stuff is red. Yeah.
Just because the Omega symbol's red.
And they barely make any red dial. A red Speedmaster, solid moonshine gold, red dial, red bezel would look so good. Omega, make it and thank me later. I don't know why they don't make more red dials, but yeah, all their signage and stuff is red. Typically.
I think they make a really nice Aquaterra, possibly in red.
They do in those colorful ones that came out after the Oyster Perpetuals, and they make a really nice red. So they can make a good color of red. Just put it on more watches.
Yeah, I just don't think I associate the logo. Yes, fair enough. But mind you, I suppose that's what you associate with Rolex. Don't really make any Rolex green watches very often. I think there was one OP, I think, that was close.
There's the John Mayer Daytona. There was the Oyster Perpetual. There's the Hulk. There's all the different green bezel subs. They do more green. Then they do those lighter greens. They got the pistachio OP. They got that dusty light green, mint green looking thing they have in the day-dates. They've got the richer green, the dark green ombre. They got enough green. Omega underserved on red, but I would agree. Cartier wins red on that one.
So I need between 7 and 9 unique watch colors that I can tie to a brand. So I'm more than halfway there, but I don't know what problem. Grand Seiko could just be anything. Could just be whatever color the mountain is in that day.
No, Grand Seiko's blue. Their logos and stuff are always blue. Panerai a slightly darker blue.
Anything else, Ariel? Any colors you think of as watch brands? What is it they call that when you think in color or hear in color? There's a name for that, isn't there?
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So what color emotes what watch brand? Anything other than what we've mentioned? Again, you can join in the chat, or you can come on to the black. Is there any? There's no classically black. I mean, gunmetal. Somebody suggested the kind of gunmetal for the
Submariner, kind of this deep
piano black.
Yeah, got some gloss going on.
The Octo Finissimo had been suggested as a kind of gunmetal. It's
That's
classic.
Not a color.
Yeah, exactly. And
who's got purple?
Booger is like, we're a color now.
Who owns purple?
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I'd say anybody who's known for purple. No.
Oh, Moritz Grossman. They, instead of bluing their hands, they purple them.
The purple hands. Yeah, that's a really niche tie-in. I quite like that one. Anyway, there we go. So I missed the start of the chat about the events. What was your favourite moment of all the moments you've had at these events in the last few days?
I'm giving a recap event to the only other person who was there for all three of them during that time. Fantastic.
I like what I see as being a lot of diversity within the tastes of the enthusiast community, where as it used to be for a long time, you just start seeing people have the same Rolexes and Omegas and stuff like that. When you go to the sort of independent brand events, the startup brand, the small brand events, you start to see a much larger variety of stuff within the small brands. You not only see more brands, but more styles and things like that. And I love the fact that you can never seem to predict what people are wearing. I love that it's new stuff. I get really kind of upset when it's just here's my barely working, tiny 1953, blah, blah, blah. It's okay. But when there's new watches, they're from innovative brands. So that's what I like to see. I get curious to see what consumers choose. What do they decide to wear? That's cool for me.
Cool. Ripley?
Yeah, knives. I think it's just
love the knives.
Knives. Yeah, love the knives.
Sharp, pointy.
Yeah. No, I agree with Ariel. I think it's it's a different type of person who actively seeks something a bit more off the beaten track, and that often reverberates not just through their watches, but types of conversations you have, some of their dovetailing interests. But you look around the wrists of people at Windup, and it's not at all what you would, the typical watches from the big name luxury brands. It's a lot of independent offerings that are from the brands exhibiting. There's other ones that are from brands that have never exhibited at the show, that aren't there, have no presence in the US, but it's something genuinely cool that they want to show off to other people that are going to enjoy it. And because of that and the crucible of like-minded individuals, it just comes into like a long all-day watch hang with brands and drinks and everything. But it's less about just buying and selling watches. And there's just tons of people chatting with each other and showing each other their watches or what they bought or what excited them at the show.
Cool. So this is repeating same time next year?
More or less.
In Scotland next time.
Yay! Let's trade knives in Scotland and see how long it takes for
and
the
traffic
police.
Cones.
Yeah, traffic cones. We're all
What's
about
the
traffic
best color
cones.
for a traffic cone? Is it the orange or
orange.
do I not know?
It has to be an
Maybe
orange traffic
Breitling
cone.
yellow?
No, it's definitely Doxa orange, the Scottish traffic cone. Yeah, there's the
Why is there no traffic cone themed wristwatch, or was there?
You get there has been
Joshua Vita's his logo's the traffic cone.
Yeah, I'm sure Secon put a traffic cone on something.
Probably.
And I myself was involved in a limited edition Swatch, which featured said traffic cone on said famous horse in Glasgow as part of a limited edition, but that was a long time and a different life ago. Right, let's talk about this watch, which you have done some more on, Ariel. This is what you're calling the engagement watch, but not for the reasons you think. Reviewing the Vacheron Constantin Traditionnelle twin beat Perpetual calendar with active and passive modes. And again, a shout out to the live chat at VC for actually answering a question on how much this watch cost. So well done for having an AI in the background that actually works. What do you think of this then when you've actually had it on the wrist?
I thought this was a fun watch. I truly enjoyed the manual process of switching from 5 hertz to 1.2 hertz modes. I tested it. I was like, if I just leave it for 5 hertz, like, is it going to drain significantly faster? And yeah. And then you put it at 1.2 hertz. Like, okay, is it going to remain accurate? Oh yeah. That's the thing. This watch was remarkably accurate. Like most of these watches are all about accuracy, like aren't. This one, I was like, wow, like it's not like 10 minutes off. That's pretty incredible. So for the money, you don't get a watch that's a great concept merely. I don't think I glanced at the Perpetual calendar once.
Okay.
So as I wrote in the article, like it's just there, like it's okay. You don't really need it. Nobody really cares, but it's better than nothing to take up the space. It's about long lasting movements. So what other complication makes sense as a Perpetual calendar? But that's kind of funny. Whereas in a lot of other watches, like that's the main attraction. And this one, it's like, oh, and it happens to have that thing that other watches say is the only reason why you should spend a lot on them. In platinum, I enjoyed the sort of heft and the feel of it. Just a little while earlier, I'd worn the Jaeger LeCoultre Duometer Helio Tourbillon that had a full platinum case and matching bracelet. So like, I'm all into platinum right now. I think it's like the best material. And accordingly, there's very few white gold watches on the market right now. I know this is like a very niche class of things like, I'm in the market for a white precious metal. Should I go platinum or white gold? Yes, it's a very niche consideration, but it's an interesting question. You know, platinum used to be the more expensive one. Now, oddly, platinum is like more available than white gold, which is kind of funny.
Is it really? Right. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. Maybe there's like some platinum price arbitrage that you can do. Remember, this is substantially, not exactly, but substantially the same watch that Vacheron Constantin came out with in 2019. And, they just upped the power reserve from 65 to 70 days, and like, I don't know. I have a lot of mixed feelings. Like, I'm not upset. I love the watch, but it's like, all the ways that brands bring back watches, I've never seen them quite do it this way. Usually it's, there's been a gap of time and at the very least, new case material and some new colors. Okay. This one is like, looks almost identical. So we felt that there was nothing that needed to change in the colors of the design. Like the smaller hands are like a slightly more legible color. But they're like, well, and then it begs the question, like, was it always 70 days and they changed nothing and they just decided like, well, let's just print it on there. You know, like what really tweaked it. So from an intellectual perspective, the marketing decision to release this as the follow-up to the original Twin Beat is just interesting, you know, super left field. So yeah.
So do we know what they did for the extra 5 days? It went from 65 to 70. Did they just
they made a slightly different scale. You know, they had to redesign it and everything.
Have they just moved whatever the overwind keeper is on a watch to the left a bit so as you could wind it a bit more to get an extra 5 days?
Don't you like a little mystery? Do you really want to know?
Yeah, okay, fair enough. But I have a question still about the scale. So on the days, you've got the long hand, which seems to be indicating that this has got 65 days of power reserve left. Yeah?
Where it is now, yeah.
Where it is now. And you've got the little hand, which seems to be indicating it has half a day power reserve left.
No, close to 4 days.
No, so what's the other side? I thought it had 2 hands on it. It's just one long.
Hand.
It's one long hand.
It's one hand, and and if it's in 5 hertz mode, you got this. If it's in 1.2 hertz mode, you got that.
It can't possibly be that both of those things are on the same scale. I just don't understand that. There's no way that it's a linear scale between 70 days or 4 days and 5 hertz and 1.2 hertz.
It moves at a different rate based upon the mode setting. So you're right. It moves faster when it's in 5 hertz mode, slower in 1.2 hertz mode, but it only moves in one speed depending on the mode. So don't think about it the way you're thinking about it. Think about it as if you left a thing to unwind in this mode, this is how long it'll take right now.
Okay.
And for how it got its extra 5 days, they, according to the brand, there were some additional technological developments to the three differentials and instantly jumping perpetual calendar mechanism. So I'm sure that, you know, by kind of retweaking some of that in terms of how it stores power and jumps, you can make it a bit more efficient. And I mean, 5 days within the context of a 70-day power reserve isn't that crazy, although 5 days by itself is quite a lot.
Yeah, exactly. 5 days is not bad for
it reminds me like when cars, back when they had things like engines, would come out and like the next year it's like, we have like 7 more horsepower. And everyone's like, where did that come from?
You know, this is like the Volvo. There was an old Volvo that had an overdrive gear on it. So it had 4 gears and then a button on top of the gear stick that you pushed for the 5th gear. Remember them? That's like this. It's like, it does. It has 4 of a thing. But we gave it an extra 5 things by putting a button on the top. Button doesn't actually do anything. It was there all along. We just didn't use it. It's just weird. Anyway, it's a lovely looking watch. I'm glad it wears well, and it's yours for 260,000? 280,000 Swiss francs.
Movado introduces the Heritage Kingmatic, a sleek timepiece that brings back the golden age of 20th century mechanical wristwatches when design and distinction were everything. The original Kingmatic was debuted in 1952 as a self-winding dress watch that remained in the Movado catalog for nearly 3 decades. The modern Heritage Kingmatic is directly inspired by a cushion-shaped Kingmatic design from 1962. Movado offers multiple cosmetic styles of the Heritage Kingmatic, each with a 35mm wide steel case, legible dial with beautiful Dauphine-style hands, and a Swiss-made automatic movement assembled at the company's manufacture in La Chaux-de-Fonds. Movado invites you to discover the Heritage Timepiece collection today as the company celebrates both the 70th anniversary of the original Kingmatic as well as the 145th anniversary of the historic Movado brand. Discover your next timepiece at movado.com.
So there you go. Right, let's review something a little bit more normal. Just dropped on the website the Delma Shell. While I share the screen, The Delma Shell Star 41mm review, shrinking the Swiss brand's most popular dive watch. So what size was this before it was shrunk?
44.
Yeah, the proper man-size watch.
Right, proper man-sized. It also, the standard automatic one had a helium escape valve, 500 meters of water resistance. It was a proper chonk, and it's supposed to be a modern watch. The Shell Star is Delma's original first dive watch, but rather than doing vintage reissues of it, the modern Shell Star is a very modern watch. That said, 44 millimeters is a pretty beefy beast. It wears quite well for its size at 44, but that's objectively too large for many people. So they shrunk it down to 41, got rid of the helium escape valve to make it a bit thinner, and now they offer it in both quartz and automatic versions.
Ooh, interesting. A quartz version. How long we scroll down? The quartz version, $750. That's not bad.
So they have a lot of different dial colors. All of them have some amount of orange on them as a nod to the very first Shell Star diver. So this can range from a full orange dial to just like an orange colored seconds hand. Same to SW2000 in the automatic ones as you'll get, not chronometer certified or anything, although the quartz movements are the ETA F0 or F16 or F06, so you get heavy drive, the anti-shock technology in it. All of the colorways are available with the option of either a rubber strap or a metal bracelet, so there's none of the weird, this configuration is only offered with this color type of thing. If you like pick the color, pick the movement, pick the strap, and that configuration will exist. And the same thing goes for the dials. The dials fitted to the quartz and automatic models are basically the exact same. Very, very small difference in the text. One says automatic, one says professional. But this isn't an instance where like they've dressed one up or made it fancy or done a different surface treatment on it. But I like them. I say it in the article. They previously were using the Shell Star, the 44 millimeter version, as the blueprint for their sailing watches like the Ocean Master. And in my review of the Ocean Master, I state that it's a cool watch, but like having a helium escape valve and 500 meters of water resistance on a sailing watch is a little bit of a joke. Like unless the boat sinks, none of this, and you have to recover the boat, none of this is going to become a factor. So, these are cool watches. They're pretty much everyday sports watches, obviously capable of going diving. But this is also just a really versatile blueprint for Delma. And I could easily see them expanding this to create other types of sports watches by swapping out the dial, movement, bezel, etc.
Who owns Delma?
Delma?
They
own Delbana.
Right. Okay. Is it a large brand? I don't know anything about. I mean, I know about the watches. I just realizing I don't know much about the brand itself, other than they clearly share the same color designer as Doxa. But other than that, Ariel.
I'm wondering if there's a trend we're seeing emerge that we should talk about, and that is more and more brands like this are offering quartz as well as automatic with almost no difference sometimes. The prices are, of course, different.
Yep.
Obviously, they wouldn't do this unless there was a market for it. We know that a lot of the fashion brands over the last decade or so have evaporated or left the market. I'm wondering if there's actually too few quartz watches on the market. And I'm also wondering, maybe Ripley knows this, who does Delma think is buying the quartz versus the mechanical? Are they marketed differently, sold differently? The prices, I don't know what the price difference is, but I'm just curious what you guys think about the fact that we're seeing more brands like this offering quartz on the market as opposed to mechanical. Because I think a few years ago, they've been like, nobody wants to buy a quartz watch.
Yeah, I honestly think that the first big brand, like let's say Panerai, I think they should be offering a quartz one. I genuinely think, that half the price, they probably still make more profit out of it, but as a way of marketing that this is about design and it's not really about the content of the watch, because in large, nobody cares. Very few people care about the watch you're wearing in the first place, let alone what's inside it, if they're not already a watch geek.
Well, I think there's that, but there's also sort of the circular arc that a lot of enthusiasts go on where, forget quartz. I want real proper watchmaking, mechanical gears and springs and stuff. That's a real watch. And then they amass a collection of those. And when it comes to wearing a bunch of different ones on a daily basis, it's not necessarily the most convenient. And sometimes they're running out the door and they just grab the Quartz thing because it's running. And after a little while, you kind of have an appreciation for that convenience. There's certain watches that are always going to be a nicer execution or a more elevated product, or that simply should be mechanical. That's the point of the watch. But for certain other designs, like a 3-handed dive watch, the automatic aspect is really just there for the mental satisfaction of the consumer. It's not going to be more accurate. It's not going to be more reliable. It's not going to be give you a more worry-free, hands-off experience, but you're going to like it because it is convenient and you just like the movement. In this case, it's almost half the price. It's well under $1,000. If someone just wants a dive watch, here you go. It's good. It'll be running until you need a new battery. And so it might not be worth the premium for someone who just wants a fun, colorful diver to pay an extra $400 or $500 just so they have to wind it every few days.
So, go ahead. Oh, so the other day when we were at the RZE event, it was on Abbott Kinney Road in Venice Beach. And along that same street, there's 2 other watch stores, the Traditionnelle store and the small brand Vacheron, who also had a booth at Intersect, has a store. And I hadn't been to the Vacheron store before. It only opened earlier in the year or late last year. And I go in there. And it was actually quite busy. It was a very nice store, but there was a guy and he was like, do you have the Quartz version of this watch? So like, we have the automatic or we have the solar charge Quartz. Like, no. I want just the Quartz one. Can you like call up and see if you still have one in stock? And it was sort of interesting because I was like, thinking about it, because I really do believe that Quartz has value, that people like it. I think they've been trained to want automatic. Yes, there's some nerdiness about the hobby where like, you first hate Quartz and then you have to like learn to re-love it again. It's like a very complicated process. But I not only think that Quartz is going to be popular again, but what I call high-end electronic watches. Not just Quartz. You have the Vacheron tuning fork and all types of exotic things like that. For 15 or 20 years, I've been thinking like it's only a matter of time before we see this. I don't know if we're quite there yet. But I think that like the momentum is slowly moving there. I don't think this is an accident, but for me to get on board with Quartz, solar is nice, but do you know what my real requirement is? The thing that it's going to be difficult for me to budge on.
Go on.
You don't know what it is?
To be able to budge on to get back into Quartz.
Well, to say I like these watches as much as the mechanical ones.
Ooh.
You've seen these Quartz watches. What's wrong with them?
Like general Quartz watches?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's not a lot wrong with them. They tell better time. For start, the one thing you need it to do, it does better than all the mechanical ones. So
well,
I don't.
The complaint I have does not relate to every single Quartz on the market. Just most of them.
Right. Okay. Go on.
It's the seconds hand not lining up to the marker.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. But that's just a QC problem, isn't it?
It's a very common, obvious QC problem.
It's a QC model. It's a QC issue. If you can put it on misaligned and it's not going to be good because of that. But depending on the movement, they have different tolerances in the step motor. And on some of them, the tolerances is such that at certain points on the dial, it's not going to line up even if the hand was placed correctly because of that play. So as it passes that quarter way mark at like 15 seconds past the hour top, there's going to be that weight on the hand and it might not hit it. Conversely, on the way up, it might be a little bit lagging behind because there's the gravity acting on it. So they're on lower end movements, the alignment will be worse, but you'll also find on high end movements where it's been placed correctly and it's not going to hit the right marks the full way around it, or it'll even slightly change depending on the angle that you're holding the watch.
Casio, for a lot of their watches, has engineered a solution to this. So what Ripley said is probably correct, but of course it doesn't need to be that way. So that's what I'm saying. Hey, industry, you want to make Quartz big again. Let's fix this problem. We have the technology. It can be done because this, I think, really holds a lot of people back. Imagine if you had straps that none quite fit. Like there were 22 millimeter space between the lugs, but they had like a 20 millimeter strap. And you're like, it's a QC issue. Is it? Like how long will you put up with that? That's for me, I don't know. It's a big deal.
Well, and I think there are nicer Quartz movements. The Grand Seiko alignment's great. It has a dual impulse motor that sends 2 to eliminate the jitter and help with the alignment. So there's definitely ways to engineer around it. And I think that's one of the things that makes enthusiasts excited about Quartz, when the movement itself is in some way different and better than that entry-level offering. I think one of the misconceptions about Quartz watches is that it's a battery-powered Quartz watch. They all are basically the same. And that couldn't be further from the truth. There's things that are stamped out for less than a nickel that keep pretty good time, but are non-repairable and just really not made very well. And then there's other high-end Quartz movements, the likes of Grand Seiko and the 9F series, and then above and beyond, Vacheron, where it's got gold movement bridges and it's packed with very, very interesting technology, like some of what G-Shock does, that makes it exciting again. It's not the same movement. You get an MRG and it's a tangibly different watch than even a standard entry-level G-Shock, let alone some other type of analog or digital watch you could get off the shelf at a big box retailer.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have an opinion on the prospect of Quartz, the return of the Oyster Quartz?
Well, I was going to say exactly that. If Rolex wants to win at watches even more than it has done already, it just releases the Oyster Quartz again and sends everybody into a tailspin. Could you imagine what would happen? Rolex released the Oyster Quartz. They can obviously make them by the tens of thousands. I'm not sure where they would get the movement from if they still have that facility.
Oh, they'd make it, but here's what this is what makes me rub my hands together.
But then it would, everyone would suddenly be going into AP and Vacheron going, oh, could I have that Quartz watch that Rolex made? Have you got something a bit like that? And they'd be like, no, but I've got the 70-day power reserve thing with a perpetual calendar for $280,000. Would you like one of them instead, please? So I think that would be
as I was saying.
Watches.
In order for Rolex to come out with a Quartz watch again, I feel like there'd have to be like an internal civil war.
Right, okay, really?
Heads would roll.
Right, okay. Well, that would be fun. Apologies, by the way, to everybody in the chat. For some reason, we are seeing it on YouTube, but not in the app that allows us to share. So thank you for everyone who's taking part this morning. Apologies if you think we're ignoring you, but you can also take part in the chat if you join the
so they're
YouTube
talking
channel.
to us and we don't see it?
They are talking to us and we're not seeing it. They are talking and we are not seeing. It's terrible.
Why are you doing this to me? I rely on that
Riverside,
small amount of commentary to get me through my night.
Dopamine hit of people loving you. You can join in, log on to the show aBlogtoWatch weekly at around about 8 o'clock on a Tuesday morning UK time, and you can join in. Right, it's that time. So did you take part in the Swatch ESTA, the Let's Gather All Your Data, the Swatch data mining exercise from through the week? Did you even have a look?
When I read it, I rolled my eyes so hard. I mean, it does not surprise me, but they want to shock people, right? The marketing is all about like pulling strong emotions. I have to admit, they really pull very strong emotions, but it's almost like they're doubling down on the specific types of things that we say, like, don't do that. I mean, the loyalty oath, that's really the thing that gets me. So like, I guess this is nice, but like the basic idea is so insulting. Like, we know you want gold. We know you can't afford gold. So we're going to humiliate you with the chance to still buy some gold, not a lot of it, but enough to feel like I earned the right to pay money for this gold at, what was it, 1969 prices? And that premise is, well, kind of offensive to the consumer, I have to say. Like, it's sort of like, let's see what they'll do for a watch. Like, I understand why Swatch likes this, but how is this not contempt for the individual?
Yeah, how is this not contempt for all the gold? I mean, surely this gold has come from all the gold watches that were sent for service. Then the people died because they were going to be 6 months. They couldn't send them back.
No,
so
it's all the scrap pushers and crowns that are melted down.
We know. Swatch bought no gold for this, okay? We know that.
Absolutely, 100%. Now, before we get into the detail, this is, in my opinion, a nice looking watch. Let's be no bones about it.
The copies are about to be here. Don't you worry, sir. The emulations are on their way.
It is a nice looking watch. What would have been
watch.
even nicer is if Omega made it out of proper black ceramic and big bits of moonshine
and cost
gold.
the $35,000 we all wanted to pay for this.
Yeah. I'm not going to be able to buy it either way. At least make it nice and I won't be able to buy it.
I can't buy it.
Yeah.
Right. So you had to apply. So I assume there's 1,969. Now, I think there was all sorts of things to stop you screenshotting this, but, where there's a will, there's a way. So I video recorded me filling in the form. So this is going to be exceptionally dangerous because of, it actually does contain
What does
personal
ESTA mean?
information.
Doesn't that just mean this in Spanish? Apply for your this now?
No, but
what does that mean?
The ESTA form is what Europeans fill in if they want to go to the States. You fill in an ESTA. That's the joke. That it's a very, very bad joke.
When you apply to go to the United States, is that the joke? Does the United States now ask you if you've talked negatively about the United States on social media? Is that where that comes from?
It always has. It's in social media, but I ask you, are you a terrorist? Have you never looked in the seat back?
When
have I applied to go to the United States?
What weird self-selecting thing? Who answers yes?
Okay, I think the Civil Education needs to go in here. You guys need, next time you're on an international flight, ask for one of the forms that everybody else needs to get into the States.
And they ask you if you talk crap about the U.S. in social media?
I think I'm so embarrassed. I think there is something about that, but very specifically it asks you, have you ever committed any acts of terrorism or subterfuge against the United States or something like that? There's some sort of wording. Anyway, so
again, who's waiting at passport control and checks yes to that? That's the wildest thing.
This is the question. So I'm going to attempt to share this screen and hope that it doesn't cause too much drama. Now, I can't actually find the screen. There we go. So this is a sample question. Have you ever spoken badly about the moon on social media? Okay.
This is about the moon?
About the moon. I'll press play.
So this is really... I like how it's multiple choice. You need to be able to write an explanation here.
So I said no, I hadn't ever spoken badly about the moon, believes. And then the next one is, have you ever spoken badly about Omega or Swatch?
Which are totally different questions, by the way.
And the answer to both of those questions is yes. So I did reply yes. So my question is, do they know that, so they've obviously got an AI in the background. So is that me excluded? Or do they go?
No, they might be trying to win you over. You may get selected. Yeah.
Exactly. I may get selected. It's a tricky game we're playing here with Mr. Swatch. So yeah, it's very, very weird. It took. Some of the questions it asks are daft. I will flick through them and see if there's any more worthy of sharing. Why do you want to own a mission to the moon, 1969?
And there's a multiple choice?
No, that's a text answer. You have to write in what you want.
They should all be essay questions.
Yes.
I want Hayek to read all of them.
Question 5. How many times have you dreamt of taking a trip to the moon? I dream every night.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, that's question 5.
See, I was under the impression that they had intentionally made this whole thing horrible. Now I'm realizing they had the intern do it again.
Yeah, the intern do it. During a full moon, are you a somnambulist?
Somnambulist.
In other words, do you sleepwalk?
Sleepwalk.
No. So I answered no. But the question is...
This is the best they could come up with?
Yeah.
Does that answer exclude you from it? They don't want their watches on unconscious people traversing their kitchens at night?
Well,
whether or not you're wearing it, just by virtue of you sleepwalking, you can't wear it?
Yeah, it was.
They should say, are you an X-Man or a mutant?
And then I said, what would you eat on a trip to the moon? And I was like, anything deep fried, because I'm Scottish.
What's available is what you'd eat.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. On a trip to the moon.
There's a choice? You pre-order? You're going to
there's a first-class menu for you to order off. So, yeah, it got more stuff. That was only question 7. What time was it in beat time when the lunar module landed? And this is all about you knowing that beat time is a Swatch thing. So there you go. That's the first genuinely Swatchy thing about the questioning.
How many questions were there?
32. And not only that, you had to answer it in under, I think, 2 hours, 15 minutes.
My entire perception of the people who end up wearing these is evolving. Now when I see someone that has one of these, I'm like, you schmuck. You
I usually
gladly put up with this.
Yeah, I usually don't hope someone buys something gray market and overspends, but this might be the one exception. It's like, did you get it for retail? Oh, you poor soul. Did you just overspend on Chrono 24? Okay, well, that's sensible.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like, I think it's like a flex to spend double to avoid these questions.
I hit question 4, called it a day, and said, nope, I'll just double down on the money.
I thought this was quite an interesting question for them to ask. I thought, that feels almost risky to ask this question, to use another brand. What were the Apollo 11 astronauts wearing in 1969? An Omega Speedmaster Professional or a Rolex GMT Master? I just thought it was interesting, that they even name their competition. Obviously, the astronauts all wanted to wear the Rolex GMT Master, but got stuck with the Omega Speedmaster Professional. And it's 50 meters of water resistance. But there we go. So,
why did they give you a timer on this?
I think it's something to do. It's some obscure time of something. You need to Google it. I'm sure 2 hours 15.
That wasn't one of the questions.
Is it? It probably was, and I probably Googled it to find out.
30-something questions, and that wasn't one of them.
I'll tell you.
Now I have questions.
Who would you take on a trip with you to the moon? Was one. In what year was Jules Verne novel published?
So relevant.
What was the US dollar Swiss franc exchange rate on July the 21st, 1969? What I find funny about that is whatever website that gives the answer to that question suddenly experience a spike in people. It possibly moved the market. Why is everybody looking at what the price of gold was? Is there a problem with gold? It was Fort Knox robbed in 1969.
They have
There's
to
no gold
sell
left.
this to everyone that filled this out, right? Like, this isn't a serious questionnaire. If you did this and then were told, no, you don't have a chance to buy this, I think you'd be rightfully insulted and humiliated.
That's right. I answered all these questions.
Wait, so did you get the right to buy one?
No. They take it away. So I've submitted the form. And then it goes to a special jury. So first of all, I think there's like an AI which chucks everybody out that answered the questions the way that they don't want them answered. And that narrows it down from however many million. No, it's
everyone at Swatch who's on a performance improvement program. That's who's reading it.
That's this. And then it goes, so who knows? It then did say name an artist Swatch should work with. So I named some artists. Dead and Alive. How many different outfits does the Queen wear in the How Majestic model? This was the most tricky question, mainly because the internet did not seem to know what the answer was. There were some Reddit threads that had already been produced within the first 20 minutes.
Isn't there pictures of the Swatch?
Yeah, but if you ask it to do it, it says that it's unlimited because
so
it's
just
effectively
look
a design
at a picture
field.
of the watch and then you'll see how many.
Yeah, but it's unlimited.
Look,
anyway, so
we understand about data processing. This, we'll call this exam, is impossible to grade while also selecting people. So the idea that they're going to be looking at to make sure your answers are right as part of the selection process, I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh no, our computer's doing that. They've decided well, I'm just flicking through the rest of the questions here to see if there's anything. We're at question 27. Have you ever had an appointment with Dr. Swatch? I assume that's the name of this is the question. I assume Dr. Swatch is the guy that repairs the Swatch watches.
It's a villain, and what his power is to just have ticking in your head all the time.
Well, my question was, if you answer yes, I have visited Dr. Swatch, is that a sign that you bought cheap swatches that broke down and you abused them and therefore you shouldn't get one of these? True. Whereas if I haven't
didn't do what you're supposed to do, which is throw it out and buy a new one when it breaks.
That's right. You're not supposed to repair them.
Ever.
They're entirely disposable.
Joke's on you. There is no Dr. Swatch.
It's disposable, but it has 11 grams of gold in it. So when the movement breaks, you can rip off the crown pushers and dial and melt it down for your 11 grams of 18 karat gold.
Great hobby with the kids, you know.
Can you imagine the mess you would make if you tried to melt a bioceramic watch to extract the gold from it?
Oh no!
Let's find out.
Pull off the gold bits and melt it, and I think you'd be in the black. Actually, if you scrapped the gold,
That would be our best performing YouTube video ever.
Let's do that.
Wait, what's the price of gold per gram right now? I think you'd be in the black if you melted one of these down.
Not after the many hours of science and video production work you're about to do.
So this is the last question, which is why does this ESTA have 32 questions? Which I believe is because the actual ESTA also has 32 questions in it. In fact, can I actually get an ESTA on the screen to show our American friends on this video what we actually have to fill in? This is probably illegal.
Because Swatch has a sick sense of humor.
Yeah, somebody in Switzerland thought this was funny, which is why you don't go to Germany for the stand-up comedy. Right, apply for US electronics. So ESTA, ESTA is the ESTA. So this is what we apply for. I don't know. So email, I don't think I can get. I would need to actually start filling it in and displaying my information to the world before I showed you the rest of the questions.
I love how much Swatch Group just hates the US. Like nothing about this watch gets you to the US. They just decided to troll the US. And I get it. You know, the tariffs and all this stuff, they have all these good reasons to be upset. And all that makes sense. But at the same time, it's also their biggest market. So in a sense, I'm like, kudos for them to have the courage to be so unserious, but also like, I kind of worry about the priorities that are sometimes on their minds on a daily basis.
Okay, so there you go. There's the ESTA. Any aliases or other names used? Point of contact.
Also like, we get it. The ESTA is apparently really long and inefficient. It's not like we're the ones who are making it. Like, don't put me through that because you didn't like that experience. Like that seems like a really vindictive way of going about these things.
They want to laugh at us. They want us to be their butt of their joke. You know what? Okay, fine.
Yeah, there we go.
Let me be the butt of the joke. Don't make me answer 32 questions.
Yeah.
Well, we're not. You and I decided before we even started.
I didn't even know it was 32. Now I'm definitely not doing it.
I don't mind 32 questions.
When I've got my
last survey was far more than that.
Jealous.
I just think that they should be interesting questions to answer.
There's this, an Ariel survey that he did in a blog to watch. Which one are you doing?
I think that had 450 questions, I think.
It did. And you got a watch every time you answered it, I think.
Yeah, we were giving away watches. We weren't telling people they could buy them.
Yeah,
I like the questions. None of them required research or anything dumb like that.
Also, none of them asked ridiculous things about the publication of dates or what you'd eat on the moon, or if you ever spoke badly about us.
Yes. Although I think they probably should, to be fair. I think they probably should. So I think actually not...
It's the last question. Please sign this NDA.
Yeah, probably. I did actually print out the terms and conditions, but I've not actually read them. There'll no doubt be some...
520 pounds? How much does this thing cost?
520.
So $600, something like that? $650
No,
maybe?
it's more than $600.
Touch of gold. A touch of gold. It's a lovely looking watch, but as you say, they probably should have made it an actual
It's pretty, but too bad for that bioceramic. What is bioceramic?
Who knows? Do we know?
It says
what
right
is
there.
Bioceramic? It doesn't learn more. It doesn't go anywhere to go. Shaping the future of watchmaking. It really isn't. Why we love bioceramic? Because it's cheap and pliable, and while you love it,
and we don't have to call it plastic, even though it is.
Yeah, we get away with it. Proudly made in Switzerland. There's nobody in Switzerland that's proud that they make a plastic watch. I'm sorry. They're all they're not proud of it. It's simply not
plastic.
the case.
I'm not
proud of it. They're like, what do you oh, you work in the watch industry. What do you do? Are you a watchmaker? Do you polish? No. I do the plastic printing. Nobody's proud of that role within the Swatch group.
It's $570 US.
What?
I feel we're being overcharged then if it's 500 quid.
Yeah, I'm like
that doesn't seem equivalent. Mind you, if
That
you added
just
the
lets you
tariff
know
on
they're
it,
not
if you're
going to
in-
sell any to the Americans.
Is there a certain amount of gold that you're allowed to import into the States before Trump tariffs it to Kingdom Come?
Are you giving him any at the same time? If so, it's probably a different figure.
We should actually end the show now, but we should actually leave it on. Did you watch the final at all? Did you watch the World Cup final? And did you see that thing? I think it's been going on in your country for a month and a half. Did you see the trophy lift where Trump attempted to be in the picture and was dragged off to the side? No. So you need to go and watch the trophy lift. So Donald Trump walks up. All the Spanish guys are on the platform ready to show the World Cup. And obviously, there's been a bit of a ding-dong, I don't know if you're aware of it, between Donald Trump and the Prime Minister of Spain. They've basically been calling each other out. So Donald Trump hands over the trophy and then attempts to stay standing next to the captain in the middle of the picture, what will be a picture that goes around the world. He slowly gets ushered off to the side by Infantino, the head of FIFA, who then drags him, but he's still standing on the end. So the trophy lift, Donald Trump standing at the end. The Spanish FA retweet the photo and they've edited him out of it. They have removed Donald Trump from all of the official photography.
They actually made fake news.
They actually made real fake news. So there
Wow.
we go. So there we go. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the World Cup. It was.
I thought there was a watch story in that.
There was lots of watches on display. Lots of the media guys. There was a couple of F91s. There's a famous French player, I think, was wearing an F91 Casio. Lots of the commentators, balloon Rolexes, solid gold GMTs, all sorts of fancy things.
Plenty of Hublots from back in the day when Hublot was the official timekeeper.
Lots of people still wearing their Hublot. I don't actually know who was the official timekeeper this time.
I don't think they had one. Whatever signs they held up on the signs were some company where I couldn't tell you if it was pharmaceuticals, tech, or other.
LVMH were certainly involved because they made the case that the World Cup came in.
Well,
it was
that's because
LVMH luggage.
Success travels in Louis Vuitton or something like that. I think that was the slogan.
Is that the phrase? Is that the slogan? Is it really?
It was something like that. Like winner, something good, something superlative.
Right, okay. And just to keep the sporting metaphor, what's happening in the world of Formula One? I think I care very little about who's winning the watch game.
Are they driving cars? Is that what's going on with them?
Ripley knows about this. Who's winning the watch game in Formula One right now?
Oh, who's winning the watch game? Okay, probably IWC or Richard Mille. So Mercedes is doing well. They got the IWC thing going on, but Ferrari and McLaren are both doing pretty decent, and they are the two Richard Mille teams. Tag's probably not there in third, so I'll have to total the points and see what it looks like after the Hungarian Grand Prix.
Cool. Very good. Right. Well, that's us for this week. Anything else, gentlemen, you've got exciting happening in the next week or so that you wish to share?
Victory travels in Louis Vuitton. That was
Victory travels in Louis Vuitton. Right. That's interesting. I like that. I mean, I don't like it a lot, but I like it.
Does Louis Vuitton make anything with wheels or a jet engine?
Oh, I'm sure they've got a wheelie bag. They must have it. Do they not have a wheelie bag?
They must have a wheelie bag.
They need to have a car that looks like a giant one of their trunks. Basically, it's like has like a window and four wheels.
4 wheels. It's like
that would be a cool van conversion.
A 4-year-old would draw. Well, give it a Cybertruck. That's kind of, spray paint it.
Like make it look like a giant rectangular Louis Vuitton trunk.
Okay.
Handle on the top, big gold bolsters on the corners. Yes.
Okay.
See, you're saying it. You're saying it.
On that note, have a great week, and we'll see you again in a week or so's time.
Louis Vuitton delivery van.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.